So, I was tagged by MrStealYoSenpai on Twitter after he did a manga tag. I think I've seen this tag floating around for a few weeks myself. I've watched a couple of them as well. They're always interesting to watch. I think I've done this tag myself or some form of variation of it in the past. I've done quite a few tag videos on my channel in the past couple of years, so probably questions I've already answered, but I don't mind doing it again. And they're interesting questions, so I kind of like talking about my likes and dislikes and the history of my manga collecting. So yeah, so it's a 10 question tag, 11 if you count who I'm going to tag at the end of the video. So the first question, which is probably the first question in a lot of tag videos, is what was the first volume of manga you purchased? And that was Dragon Ball Z Volume 8. That's a random volume, but technically this was the first tankobon format manga I ever read. The actual first manga I read was actually a few single issues of Dragon Ball Z that had about 3 chapters in each. I read those when I was about 10, but I got my first tankobon volume when I was about 11 or 12 back in 2001, 2002, maybe 2003, I'm not exactly too sure, but it was around that period of time when I first got this, and I got it for Christmas. So I just remember reading this on Christmas Day, along with the 2 other volumes that I'd got at the same time, volumes 10 and 11, and yeah, I mean that just really kick-started my journey with collecting manga. I only collected Dragon Ball Z, and then I moved on to things like Naruto and One Piece and Bleach a few years after that. But yeah, this really kick-started my journey with reading manga, and I have fond memories of particularly reading this volume, like Vegeta versus Raccoon kicking everyone's ass, and then Goku versus Raccoon, I believe at the end. No, Goku versus Ginyu, should I say? I think that's what happens. Yeah. What else happened in this volume? Oh yes, Nail versus Frieza. It was a great volume. I mean, the Namek saga, I believe, is I'd probably rank it my second favourite arc in Dragon Ball Z. It's a fantastic arc. Second question: what is my favourite volume of manga in my collection? I'm kind of cheating here, as it's technically an entire series, but I'm going to show it anyway. And that's my Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, complete box set. This is one of the highest quality releases I have in my collection, and I'm so proud to own this. It came with an awesome poster. It's obviously from Hayao Miyazaki, the man behind Studio Ghibli. And these volumes are just absolutely sublime. They're absolutely gorgeous. I think I've actually left my poster in here as well. It's probably, yeah, I've got the poster in there as well. I'll show that afterwards. But yeah, 2 hardcover volumes here that are just absolutely gorgeous. Some of the most amazing art I've ever seen in any manga. And they've got the ink itself inside. It's not actually black. It's like this brown. It just makes it really classic and aged, and it's amazing. You can see some of the colour pages here. It's just such a beautiful manga, and one of my favourite stories in all of manga as well. It was absolutely perfect from start to finish. A very, very, very unique manga. Very, very unique. And then I've also got the poster that came with it as well. I'd love for Viz to release more things like this, as this was wholly unique in the library of manga that they've released. I don't think they've ever had a release of this high quality, and this trim size especially. I mean, it's huge, really heavy, and it's perfect. It's just amazing. I'm so proud to own this. I mean, these questions are very difficult to answer, as I have quite a big collection, and my tastes and thoughts on my collection always change frequently. So probably last time I answered this question, if I've ever answered this question, it's probably something completely different. But for now, this is my favourite thing in my collection. I actually love it. And the next question is the most expensive manga in my collection. Disregarding out of print titles that I've stupidly spent a lot of money on. I mean, I remember spending, I think it's about £25 on a single volume of Monster. I think it was Monster Volume 5 when I had to import it from Canada before the perfect editions were released. But in terms of the highest amount of money I paid for this retail price was Ayako, the hardcover by Osamu Tezuka. I paid £40 for this retail. I believe that's how much it was going for in Forbidden Planet. I mean, it doesn't say that on the back. Like US dollars, it's only $26.95. But they were actually selling it for £40 in my local Forbidden Planet. This was literally the last copy, and this was literally right before it went out of print. So I thought, well, you know, I might as well buy it. I don't regret purchasing it because I love it. I mean, it's a little bit damaged now, unfortunately, but thankfully this is actually one of my favourite Osamu Tezuka titles that I've read, and I really loved it from start to finish, even though the ending I didn't really like. But £40 is how much I paid for this. I think that maybe translates in US dollars to maybe about $60, $65, I'm not too sure of the conversion rate, but it was pretty expensive. Okay, what is the volume of manga that you regret purchasing, or a series that you regret purchasing? And that's Tenjo Tenge. I read this and bought it solely for one of the 24-hour manga marathons that Immortalion, my friend Immortalion, was hosting. And I think I bought this for a manga you have no interest, that category. Yeah, it was awful. It was absolutely awful. I mean, yeah, blind buys are hit and miss, but I kind of do regret buying this. I mean, I only spent £5 on it as it was reduced. It was on sale, but it was so bad, and because it's obviously a 2-in-1 volume, it just takes up space on my shelf. But it was so bad, and I didn't enjoy it from start to finish, and I'm not going to continue reading this. I've dropped this series because it's like 11 volumes, 22 volumes I think in total, and it was awful. I hated the characters, I hated the story. There's a rape scene that is just handled really poorly in this. I mean, obviously rape isn't a great, it's pretty awful thing to happen to anybody anyway, but it's so poorly handled in this. Like, say for example, the rape scene in Berserk where Griffith rapes Casca. It's an awful scene, and there's so much power and emotion in it. You really, really just feel for the characters, and you can feel the distress coming from the page from Casca and Guts having to watch. In this, it's treated as almost like a joke, or it's like there's a sense of normality surrounding it. It was just really uncomfortable to read, and I didn't think it was handled very well by the author. So needless to say, I'm never going to be reading this again, and I'm not going to be buying any more Tenjo Tenge, as I think it's an absolutely awful series. Next question. What is the manga I'm most proud of? I mean, ultimately this came down to how much I spent on the manga, and that was Blade of the Immortal. Now, I think about 18 volumes of this that I own, because I own all of the series but one volume. All I need is the final volume. When I was collecting this, fortunately my local comic book shop was selling off a load of brand new Blade of the Immortal volumes for £1 each. So I ended up getting about 20 of the volumes of Blade of the Immortal, which is like 2/3 of the series. It's like a 30 volume long series. So 2/3 of the entire series for £1. Well, £1 per volume, so I ended up spending £20 for 20 volumes of Blade of the Immortal, considering it's a Dark Horse title and these volumes are really, really expensive for how much you get. I mean, they're only like 200 and odd pages long, and the retail for like around £15, which is the standard price for like a 3-in-1 hardcover, like Vinland Saga retails at about £15. So what you get for this, they are really, really expensive for retail value. But I'm proud to own this because, I mean, the first few volumes were shaky. I didn't really like it too much, but then it really, really, really took off. Now it's one of my favourite samurai series of all time. I think it's absolutely amazing. I'd probably rank it evenly with Vagabond. I wouldn't be able to decide whether I like this or Vagabond more. It's absolutely fantastic. And I'm really proud to own it because I spent so little on collecting the series. probably alternatives for you know, things that I'm most proud of in my series would be probably the Mobile Suit Gundam volumes. I have 10 out of the 12 of those. Probably Osamu Tezuka hardcovers, but it was just so difficult to narrow down. But ultimately, I ended up choosing this. I'm very proud to own it. Now, question 6. This isn't actually a question that I've answered before in a video, and that's how do you organize your manga? Now, this is a really interesting question because I see a lot of other YouTubers organizing their manga like alphabetically, and they'll have like volumes of manga that'll be bigger, you know, like the whole row of manga will be smaller, and they'll just have one volume of manga that's like, you know, a much larger trim size than the rest. And I don't like that. I wouldn't be able to feel comfortable organize my manga alphabetically. So that's how I do it. I organize my manga in terms of trim size. So all the hardcovers that have higher trim sizes will all be together. All the sort of standard Viz Media single tankobon volumes will be all together, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'll kind of go from left to right. So I'll have the biggest at the left, and then kind of go down in trim size. That's how I do it, because I like things to look neat. I like things to look more aesthetically pleasing rather than worrying about having them all in alphabetical order for ease of finding them. Question 7 is one out of print manga you wish you had, and that is Battle Royale Volume 5. I have all Volume 5 of Battle Royale. Volume 4 here, which goes for a hell of a lot of money. I was very lucky to purchase this still whilst it was in print, or should I say while it was on the fringes of going out of print. This was literally the last copy in Waterstones, and I had to order it from their warehouse. Volume 5, unfortunately, is just nowhere to be found at all. The cheapest it goes on online is for about £300, and nobody's going to buy something in a single volume of manga for £300, even if this is a 3-in-1. Nobody's going to do that unless you're rich. Question 8, which manga would you like to see translated into English? So something that hasn't been translated into English as of yet. I mean, I don't read scanlations, so I don't really have the opportunity to read anything that is publishing solely within Japan. But there is one manga that I really like the synopsis of, and I've seen like trailers and like reviews, and that's Saint Young Men. I don't know who the author is, but it's basically about Buddha and Jesus taking a break from the heavenly duties and sharing an apartment in Tokyo. It's like a slice of life comedy sort of, and it just sounds really funny. How I think there's a moment from what I've been told where Buddha reads Osamu Tezuka's Buddha and cries. It's like, oh my god, this is so totally my life. And everyone keeps mistaking Jesus for Johnny Depp. It's just, I can just imagine it's absolutely hilarious, but unfortunately the author doesn't want her manga to be released in the West. So I mean, I've asked Vertical on Twitter if they would ever pick up the license, and that was the response that they gave me. Is that the author, the mangaka, doesn't want the series licensed in the West, which is a real shame because it sounds really funny. But ultimately, what can you do? If that's the author's wish, that's the author's wish. Okay, so question 9. Omnibus volumes or single volumes? Which do I prefer? I don't have any preference. I'm happy with either. I like single volumes for a nice quick read. Like my One Piece volumes, I'm happy to have them as singles. Whereas omnibus volumes, if it's a shorter series, then they can all be compiled within, the whole series can be compiled within one omnibus volume. If it's only like a 3-volume long series originally, like Azumanga Daioh or some of the Osamu Tezuka 1-volume mangas that I have. So I really don't have any preference. I'm happy to read either or. Okay, so the last question is an underrated manga that you think people should read. I don't actually have the questions here. I'm just I've made like a note. So if I'm not actually reading the questions out as they're actually written, I do apologise, but you get the gist. So I couldn't decide between two series here, but both of them I've talked about quite frequently on my channel in the past 3 or 4 years. and it even in my channel thumbnail, there's a bit of throwback to one of these series. The first series I'm going to show you is 7 Billion Needles by Nobuaki Tadano. Funnily enough, this was actually, I believe, either the first or second manga review I ever did on my channel, and this is a criminally underrated series. So much so that I even bought the whole series a second time and gave it away in a video in a competition a few years back, because I want more people to read this. Unfortunately, it is out of print, and the only way to read this now is digitally, like on I think is it eManga? I think it's available on like the Comixology or eManga store for purchase there. But if you're not shy of reading things digitally on like a Kindle or whatever other facility that you use to read digitally, I mean, I would never promote reading it illegally on like a Scandination site. So I'm giving you the only legal way you can read it, and that's on like eManga. I think it's on. But it is a fantastic series. The artwork is fantastic. I actually love the covers. These are some of my favourite covers of all time. They're absolutely beautiful, and it's basically I don't want to go into the story because I could talk about it forever, and I don't want to make this video too long. But believe me when I say it's a fantastic sci-fi sort of teen angst filled series, and I really want people to read it. And the second series that I want to recommend is What a Wonderful World. This is actually quite a popular author now, Inio Asano. A lot of his titles are being published now in the West as more and more of them are getting more recognition, especially with Goodnight Pun Pun. People have been talking about that for years, even before it's released, and now that it's been released, more and more Asano titles are coming to the West. Like A Girl on the Shore, what other series? Solanin, that was released a few years back. Nijikahara Holograph, which is arguably my favourite Inio Asano title, but I feel that out of all the titles that have been released by Asano, I think this is actually the first one that was released in the West, is the most underrated. And it's just basically a series of short stories centering around different people who live in this one town and the kind of daily struggles that they kind of face, go up against. And it's just so relatable, and it's just told with such a clear understanding of human emotion. And I do believe that Inio Asano truly deserves the title of the voice of a generation, because it truly understands the human spirit and human emotions, and how it can portray that on the page. And it's nothing short of sublime. So both of these series, 7 Billion Needles and What a Wonderful World, I would highly recommend. What a Wonderful World is fortunately still in print, and even if you don't want to read this, I'd just recommend anything by Inio Asano. You've got an ever-expanding choice of titles that have been released by Asano, and any one of them I would highly recommend. So now, who do I tag? I've got two people who I want to tag. Firstly, Immortalium. I really like watching these videos. One of my favourite YouTubers and a pretty good friend of mine. And the second one I want to tag is Sun Wukong, solely because I haven't seen Sun Wukong do a manga-related video in quite a few years now. And I'd like to see him do like a manga-related video, because he's got really awesome tastes, quite similar tastes in me, with me. So yeah, I'll tag both of those. And also, if you're watching this, also consider yourself tagged. When I say tag, you don't necessarily have to do a video response. You can also just list the questions in the comments and just answer them that way. So I'm going to leave this tag open. I look forward to any and all responses. So thanks very much for watching, and thank you to MrStealYoSenpai for tagging me. He's actually somebody I've just recently subscribed to, and I'm looking forward to watching more of his content. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Oh, also, I also want to tag Mr. Laser Shot KH, as he's also pretty awesome. So yeah, now it's goodbye.